And everyone, welcome back. Hoops Lounge Radio, Green Room Radio, Maison Sociale. Mark, you want to kick us off? We have a special guest today.
Yeah, I mean, we have Megan and Wilson in, and we're going to talk free agency frenzy in the NBA. The chum's been in the water. I'm losing my voice. We got to talk about the top of the heap, the San Antonio Spurs. What do you think of the LaMarcus Aldridge pickup? My voice is horrible.
Clearly, it's been affecting you a lot. You're very choked up, I can tell. I think it was probably the right move for him. I think the big problem with Marcus Aldridge is that a lot of people, we were talking about it before, how it seems that people don't really know how to take his attitude. I think it might just be that he's kind of one of these guys that is a bit more aloof. Maybe he's not meant to be in a leadership position, but maybe he wanted to be. So I think and actually the fact that the Spurs all sat down and pitched him together, I think is a big part of it. And basically being shopped around as like, you're the next Tim Duncan for us, you can be the next franchise player, and he wanted to be that guy on the Blazers. So he's never going to be, the number one guy for the rest of the time for the Spurs, in the sense that he doesn't have the same career as Tim Duncan. But I think he's in the right position to learn from someone like Coach Pop. Maybe that will, whether it's humbling him or just getting him to focus or that kind of stuff. It's obviously a great move for the Spurs. They have him, they have Kawhi going forward. They just keep getting richer. It's almost unfair how well they did. But
do you think it's more that, or actually Damian Lillard and their relationship or lack thereof? I mean, we saw Damian Lillard head out to LA to try to recruit him back, but by that point,
he didn't even make it to Los Angeles.
Oh, he didn't even make it to LA. And so like
Batum
was gone. The ship is kind of bare there in Portland. Robin Lopez out in New York, Batum's out in Charlotte.
West went to Dallas. Yeah.
So I mean, San Antonio with it. I mean, last year they were contenders with you lose Splitter, you gain Aldridge.
Yeah.
They have to be the number one contender. I mean, I'm sorry for Golden State fans. I'm sorry for LeBron James fans. But I know, I'm kind of looking at this like, I don't want to play them. A front court of Duncan, Aldridge, and Kawhi Leonard.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And more Seattle.
Yeah.
And more Seattle. Hopefully
hanging out, giving smug looks on the bench.
Hopefully he's been laying off the donuts, but...
And the wine.
Yeah, it's a perfect excuse. But I mean... if you look at all these guys, and all the Spurs players for years have taken contracts a bit less than market value, we'll say. And what I was hearing is, as much as these other teams are trying to say, hey, welcome to LA, we have this,
yeah.
the Spurs and teams going forward are selling on organizations.
Yeah.
And I think Aldridge is like, listen, I'm 30. I'm going to go to a team. I want to win now. Kind of the LeBron situation last year where he doesn't want to go into a rebuilding project. And I think he saw the writing on the wall with Batum leaving, or maybe they saw the writing on the wall with Aldridge leaving. That's why they got rid of Batum. But at the same time, it's a team that he can grow with. And the Spurs are always going to be competitive. They have one of the best GMs in the league, and players want to come there. As opposed to teams like, like the Knicks and Lakers, who for years have kind of gotten by because that's the ideal destination. It doesn't seem that way anymore. Now, Mark, do you think the Spurs, have they jumped over your beloved Golden State Warriors there?
I mean, you have to keep in mind that Kawhi was injured a big chunk of the season, so they got, the 6th seed in the playoffs and then lost to the Clippers in Game 7.
I don't think they'll be losing to these Clippers anymore.
They could have easily, if they've been healthy all year, had that number 1 or number 2 slot. So let's look at it that way. Everyone buys into the system. Manu hasn't signed yet. I think he'll sign for 1 year. He's going to announce it in an Argentina newspaper apparently this week. But Pop, I mean, the fact that Timmy and Pop have been there forever, 5,000 years it seems like by now. They set the tone. It's interesting because this is the first time they brought in a big league free agent, really in 20 years. So really they're plugging someone new into their calculus. I'm interested to see if it actually works. I believe it will because LaMarcus knows how to pass the ball, and that's key to what they do.
Absolutely. So, any last thoughts on the Spurs?
It's going to be an exciting team to watch. I mean, my allegiance is somewhat with the Warriors, so I'm a little scared. I'll be completely honest.
I have no idea how the Warriors are going to deal with that front court, by the way.
I don't know. Draymond's going to get a lot of technicals and be short. But I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. As much as people harp on the Spurs, you can't help but look at someone like Coach Pop, and he has 5 years left, and 4 years left. He wants to spend the rest of the time coaching. He's not going to retire early. He has this team. He can build it, set everything up. So by the time LaMarcus is 33, because he's not 30 yet, I'm almost about to turn 30, so I keep correcting people too. So I have to correct people for him. But he's going to be at that point where he's going to be, is he going to play out the rest of his career in this with San Antonio. He's going to switch and go somewhere else in Texas because we know that's
but
where
he gets
wants
to play
be.
less
His family's
minutes. It's
there.
a good staff
that too. It's going to be great
that pushes the longevity of their careers.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. You don't have to worry about being the guy on on another team. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, if he went on LA, they probably would have shouldered a ton of pressure on him because they don't got
and played
shit.
zero defense with him and Julius Randle as a front court.
Exactly. So I mean, it's going to be great. I think it will help him develop. I mean, I hope there's not a situation where he goes there and it's, people are going to call it a character issue. I hope there's none of that.
I really think the character issues was he's just one of those quiet guys. I really think it was a Damian Lillard thing.
Yeah,
It just comes across
someone that is
way.
super engaging who went from small market, let's say Weber State, to going from another small market, Portland, and really having that diehard fan base really embrace him and embrace kind of, this almost nerdy team at that point because you had someone like Wes Matthews wearing all the Iron Man stuff when he was injured, and then one also when he was playing, and then you have Lopez drawing on Lillard's shoes. You had this really tight little core of guys that were all a little weird, which is, Portland is very proud of. Yep. And then you had LaMarcus, who probably after a while was like, okay, where am I comfortable? I'm comfortable in Texas. Mm-hmm. I want to be somewhere where I know is going to win. Portland went out in the first round to Memphis, and we all saw how he looked at that last game. He was playing through injury. He probably was like, if I'm going to, hurt, let's hurt at home.
Also, it just shows not only LeBron can go home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The biological clock was ticking a little bit for him, like hitting 30. I just wanted to bring up one point regarding the Spurs signing Danny Green.
Yes,
a week ago,
and cheap.
Harbinger of what they were doing here.
He could have left and gotten a lot more money, but he took that hometown discount because he saw what was happening, and then he tweeted like, "Uh-oh," yesterday or something. So clearly he's excited by that Twitter response. But I think that just shows that kind of that team first mindset that the Spurs and and I think the Warriors really kind of showed that, and that's why I think so many people fell in love with them this year that weren't Warriors fans before because they saw that like camaraderie and things like that.
Although I don't see that team holding on. I mean, we can talk on that in a later show, but there's a lot of salaries that, especially David Lee.
It's a lot.
I think that's Greg Popovich's influence on Steve Kerr and what he's doing around the league. But the Spurs, like Mark Stein said, going from 20 years of 5 titles, becoming the darling of free agency in 2015. Greg Popovich, R.C. Buford, they are the zombie Spurs, and they're just going to keep going forever.
Exactly. We're going to be right back here in Hoops Lounge Radio. More basketball talk. Got a lot going. Big free agency off season. Be right back.